Yeah, good afternoon. This is Daryl Freeman, and welcome to my YouTube channel called Cockpit Conversations. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so. And if you would also hit that like button as many times as you would like. As you know, I'm a pilot, and I normally do my cockpit conversations from the cockpit of the airplane, but I won't be doing that today. We'll be doing it right here on land. However, this week we're going to be flying down to the Bahamas, and we're going to do some cockpit conversations from the airplane, and also a couple cockpit conversations from our boat there. Many of you all know that I've been an entrepreneur all of my adult life. My first company I started was called Zycron. I started it with $2,000 in savings and a bunch of credit cards that belonged to my wife. I sold that company some 25 years later for $23 million. If you're thinking about an investment, every $100 that I put in it, I got over $1 million back. So that's a pretty good return. You know, today we're going to talk about generational wealth. And generational wealth, that phrase is all the buzz on social media today. You know, generational wealth building, it sounds good, and it gets a lot of likes and a lot of comments. I've decided today that I'm going to provide an example of what a generational wealth decision looks like, and to elaborate on what makes it a generational wealth decision. I will discuss why I made the decision, and I will discuss a little bit about the financials and how I put the deal together. We're also going to discuss what's the long-term impact of a generational wealth decision. We're going to discuss the value of that decision today, the value of the decision when I made it, and so we're going to actually get the chance to go visit it. So let's jump into what a generational wealth decision is. A generational wealth decision is one that financially benefits the next generation of your family members. It's really simple. It's what you leave to your family members when you pass away, what you leave to your children when you pass away. It's a decision or an asset, a decision that you make to buy an asset that will last longer than you, And also what it does when you make these decisions, generational wealth decisions, it will benefit your offspring so that when they're born, they already have assets in their names. They already have income flowing in. And so oftentimes it comes in the form of stocks, which I've invested millions of dollars in stocks, bonds, real estate, a private business, or a combination thereof. Today though, we're going to talk about a generational wealth decision that I made around real estate. We're going to look at one piece of property of the many that we have. So if you don't mind, we're going to hop into the Ferrari, and we're going to go and visit one of my generational wealth decisions that I made back in 2012. Sit tight and come along for the ride. Here we are at a building that I bought in 2012 for $600,000. At the time, I was running a company called Zycron, and I would much rather own the buildings where Zycron was located as opposed to renting a building. And so my philosophy is, I'd rather own than to rent. This building is about 10,000 square feet. It's located about 15 minutes from downtown Nashville. It has plenty of parking. As I told the guys on Earn Your Leisure, I'd rather own in my neighborhood than to rent in the middle of downtown, because renting you get nothing in return other than the space you get to stay there. So I purchased this building again in 2012 for $600,000. And by the numbers, I put 20% down, which is roughly $120,000. And because the building needed some renovations, I spent invested another $300,000 getting it into the condition that we wanted it in with all of my team members. And so all in, we got about $900,000 in this building. It's 10,000 square feet, 15 minutes from downtown. The mortgage is around $5,000 or $6,000 a month, and we currently have tenants inside the building now. Since I sold my company, we have tenants inside the building that their rent payments go toward paying the mortgage and paying the interest and paying down on the principal. So every month, without thinking about it, when you own a building and your tenants are paying the mortgage, every month you're adding value, you're adding net worth to your financial positions. So that's one of the other reasons why I like owning versus renting. And so again, so what's the value of this building today in 2020? I would say it's somewhere north of $2 million. In 2017, I had an offer for the building for $2 million, and I decided not to take the offer. But the profit would have been about $1.1 million. So I would have walked away with about $1 million check, which would not have been the first time I've sold a piece of real estate and walked away with $1 million check. But we can talk about that. We can talk about that transaction later. But I decided to keep this building and keep it in the family. And so I'm glad I declined the offer. So the building today is probably worth $2.5–3 million as it continues to go up in value as the real estate market continues to heat up here in Nashville. And so this is a generational wealth decision right here, and this building will be in our family for a long time. Again, it has over $1 million worth of equity in it, and it's only growing over time. So some people ask me, how do you finance commercial properties? Most commercial properties, if you pay $200,000 for it, they're going to make you put 20% down, so that's roughly $40,000. So this transaction, if the transactions I'm describing are too big, just scale it down. So if you're going to buy a $100,000 building, you may need to put 20% down. So if you're going to buy a $1 million building, you may have to put $200,000 down. But scale the transaction down to where it fits what your capabilities are. So, again, generational wealth building decision right here. What this means is that, at some point, when my wife and I pass away, this building will be passed on to our kids, along with the other real estate properties that we have and the other assets that we have. We currently own a lot of real estate in and around Nashville, also in North Carolina, also in the Bahamas. And so I believe that this building at some point will be worth $4 or $5 million. And again, this is what a wealth generation decision looks like. So in conclusion, every day when you go out to buy things, whether you're going out to buy a car or you're going out to buy furniture, every decision I make financially, I look at it through a generational lens. And so I try to buy a whole bunch of things that generate wealth, and then every now and then I'll go buy something that doesn't generate wealth, like an automobile. But I think that you got to have the mindset and the philosophy today, as we talk about wealth generation, to make sure that you're buying those things that will generate wealth for you, that generate wealth for your kids and your grandkids and their kids. And so, again, this is an example of a wealth generation decision. A lot of people talk about it on the internet, but I wanted you to see what one looks like. And again, as I said in my previous YouTube episode, remember, every dollar is like a soldier working for you, and make sure that you collect enough dollars so they can work for you a long time and make you a lot of money. So signing off here with Cockpit Conversations, Daryl Freeman, standing in front of a generational wealth building decision.